over the last few months, I have been running training courses, teaching some individuals, 30, I think, in total now, photography skills for property photography. The challenge that I've been having is that the people that have been coming for the training are people that have, some of them, zero experience with photography, and trying to boil down the complexities of photography in general to people who have literally just bought a camera and haven't figured out how to turn it on yet is quite challenging. And also different for people who are not necessarily keen photographers. For example, for a while where I did some photography training for people in a camera shop, that was easy because people were coming along, they were keen to learn, they were there to learn about photography, and they had read their manual. They'd obviously been playing with their camera for a while and had found out where they had difficulties, and then had come for a lesson. And that's absolutely fine. You could use words with them that they'd understand, like aperture and ISO. You could ask them, please change your shutter speed, and they would go and be able to change it. But trying to teach people in a 5-hour training course that we're doing, of all the there was a lot to get in. They were training them on how to use their camera settings, their flash settings, their positions in taking the photos, their orientation in taking the photos, the legal aspects of what photos they need to be taking for property photography, the other stuff. Oh yeah, then we started doing floor plans. Had to train them on floor plans as well. It's a lot to condense in. It's something which I would, if I had the choice, I would want maybe 2 weeks to be training people intensively to get a hold of this. But we had 5 hours to train them on this, and I think a lot of it went over their head. We also had to tell them about the Photoshop editing as well, or Lightroom editing, and again, you could just see it was totally going over some people's heads just now. But what something that came to my attention was really the amount of people who have bought cameras and only ever use them in auto is astonishing. And people who have actually been working photographers as well. That's the thing. So we sent them out the questionnaire before they came out, and some of them have sent back saying, oh yeah, I've used my camera loads, but never used the flash. And then on the questionnaire we say, like, what does your aperture effect? And they're like, no idea. Like, oh, okay. And like, I would say, what kind of photography have you done in the past? Like, oh, events, sports, weddings. You're like, hold on. You're saying you shoot weddings, but you don't know what like simple things like aperture means. So like, yeah, fine. Somebody recently as well saying, oh yeah, I ran a photography business. I was like, boom, we're able to tell you everything you need to know about property photography in an hour. You'll be a piece of cake to go with. And he's like, cool, brought my camera, here's my telephoto lens. We're like, you need a wide angle lens for property. He's like, really? Didn't know that. You're like, okay, right, well, we'll work on that. You can use my lens for that. And then is that okay? So what we want to do, we want to increase the flash exposure and lower the ambient exposure of the room. And he's like, what did he say? And I was like, well, slow down your, create a longer shutter speed, or slow down shutter speed, however you want to use that term, and we'll increase the flash by maybe a couple stops. He's like, stops? What do you mean? And I was like, okay, flash power up from a 32th of a power to 1/8 of a power. He's like, how do I do that? And I was like, have you ever used flash before? He's like, no, never used it. I'm like, you said you had a photography business. It was an underwater photography business going on there. And I was like, okay. But he was... So, okay, maybe don't use flash for underwater photography, that's fine. But he has like a £3,000 camera for underwater photography. I was like, wow, that's a great camera. He's like, yeah, just always used it in auto mode. It's like, okay. So it's really made me appreciate the technical skills and knowledge that budding amateur photographers have. The people that really want to learn photography, not just take a nice photo, but want to learn photography. Like, I'm just scrolling through F-Stoppers community pics and all that stuff. Just the quality and the skill that's required for a lot of these shots, which for you and me and all the people who kind of watch this kind of YouTube photography stuff, we are fully engrossed into photography. But the amount of people that may just get into photography for a photography business or do a wedding or something, but actually have no idea about how their camera works, about how to even change their settings, about the difference between RAW and JPEG. You know, we can mock some YouTube channels for still promoting or doing adverts about, you know, what's the difference between RAW and JPEG, right? Surely everybody knows that. But I from teaching people who are not budding amateurs, it's quite surprising just how little amount of knowledge you need about photography, but could still start a photography business, but not necessarily a good one. So yeah, it's just I've developed from the training that we've been doing a bit of extra respect for the skills of the general YouTube photographers out there that know their stuff, and also just found out how difficult it is to really train people on something which they have almost zero knowledge of or experience with. Again, a lot of people that were coming along to the training had only taken photos on their phone of their property, and we're suddenly giving them a digital SLR with a lens, with all these manual settings, with a flash that they need to sort out their settings and all that stuff. It's a lot of stuff to take in, which it'll be interesting to see how, once they start sending in their photos, how it comes back, to see if they've actually able to take on or take in everything that we've taught them. But part of the training is actually looking at some of the previously bad photos that we've seen on some of the other portals, property portals. So like Zoopla and what's the Purple Bricks are great examples of terrible photos. So we've used them as examples for them to watch, and try to give them as simple an instruction of how to make sure they avoid bad photos like that. But it'll be interesting to see how much people can take from just 1 hour's, or from 4 hours worth of training, and maybe 2 half-hour sessions of them actually getting to play with it. But it is astonishing. The stress also, you can see maybe in that bit there, we've got about 8 people in that course there. The people kind of going, oh yeah, here's my camera. I'm like, okay, make sure you're on evaluative metering. Everyone's like, what? I was like, okay, I'll go around and figure out where it is. And then trying to go through the menu settings of Nikon to Canon to Fuji to Panasonic, I was just like, I have no idea. Some were touchscreen, some are not touchscreen. Some have different menu settings. Some only have one rotating dial on the top, so you're like, I need to figure out the buttons. And I'm having to do it on the fly there on the training course, which got a little bit... I'm just like going, I have no idea how your camera works. You've bought a really, really cheap one, and I don't know how it works. And then a lot of times people's like, the photos aren't working at all. It's like, that's because your camera doesn't work with live view. Turn your live view off. Just how it's so different from everybody's camera. So I think teaching people one-on-one is fine. 1-on-2, 1-on-4 is good. But going above 4 people with people that have vastly different photographic knowledge, not necessarily skill, but knowledge, of their camera, of their settings, of their menus, is a very challenging job. But it was quite fun and interesting. But it'll be interesting to see once they come in there. So if any of you are ever thinking of teaching photography, teaching the main aspects of photography is easy, but getting the knowledge of camera settings, the technical part, because what I said, like, there's a technical part, there's a legal part, and there's an artistic part. We can teach you the artistic part, but you might not get it. We can teach you the technical part, but that might just totally go over your head. We'll teach you the legal part, but if you don't get that right, you're in big trouble. So everyone's like, I'll learn the legal part, I'll learn that. So the other aspects, I think, sometimes just go completely over their head. But yeah, I think it's a lot to take on with photography. I think just teaching kind of external photography, like going outside shooting, where you're not having to work on camera settings and combining it with flash and balancing flash light with ambient light or external light is a lot easier than internal property photography. Quite challenging there. So yeah, any of you property photographers that I may have done videos of in the past, looking at your stuff on Zoopla or the property sales sites, respect to you. If your photos have been good, well done, very good. It's far more involved than what most people think, and I think it's an overlooked aspect of property sales or property letting. Oh yeah, just get somebody to take some photos. You're like, they've got to really know what they're doing. It's not that easy. But anyway, if you've ever had any experience teaching people, especially people with maybe very minimal experience or knowledge of photography or their camera, be interested to hear your thoughts as well down below. Cheers, bye bye.